Okay, so I'm quickly going to show you how when you have a relatively black and white image, how you can create a bitmap image to use in Illustrator. Okay, so I have a bunch of these textures that I created, more or less black and white images, but you'll see when I go to turn these into bitmaps how it's going to kind of just, help them, even out and be more of a black and white image than grayscale. Even though they will appear grayscale, they are going to kind of just like, diffuse everything out. So it's truly like only made up of black pixels, even though it will appear grayscale. So first, just to show you, all these images I have here started from a layer, started from a color image. Just hiding the adjustment layers I have here. So you could see how easy it is with just like some adjustments to get it to a relatively black and white image or high contrast grayscale image. And then you can use these for bitmaps. Now, when you're creating a bitmap, there's certain values you have to adhere to. First and foremost, they have to be flat files. So after you create these, what I like to do is I like to save all my changes. So now I have all these layers in this file. And again, I'll hide these adjustment layers so you can see the original image. But once I have all these layers, I like to just save it and, Command Shift S, and you can save it in the same folder it came from. But I'm saving it as a layered Photoshop file. So I have this work, and that's fine. And basically now, because what I'm about to do is destructive, so I want to make sure I'm just saving a copy of it in case I want to go back and change things. And I can always go back and change these, like, adjustment layers. I can change the, like, I'm just go to this wood grain image for a second here. So I could show you that I can always keep adjusting this, right? It doesn't matter, what I do. It's all non-destructive, and I can always go back and edit it, okay? But I have this saved. I'm going to save it again just with that minor change made. But what I need to do is I need to flatten this image. So in order to make this a bitmap, I'm going to go to my layers palette, and in this little drop-down menu, go to all the way at the bottom. Towards the bottom, there's this option of flatten image. When I scroll down, it will say discard hidden layers. You hit OK. Now, if I don't do that, I'll just show you what happens first. So right now, I just did that, and it just makes it one solid layer here. But if I go to what I'm really trying to do is turn this to a bitmap image. Okay. So before you do that, you have to turn it to grayscale. Okay. So when I go to grayscale here, it's gonna say changing modes can affect the appearance of layers. Flatten image before mode change. If I click don't flatten, watch. Okay. Discard color information. To control conversion, use image, blah blah blah. So if I hit discard, what's going to happen is it's converting it to black and white, to grayscale rather, but it's kind of converting these adjustment layers, over, so it translates them to the grayscale version of them, which is different. So if I hit Command Z, you'll see this is much different than when I converted it to grayscale, right? So that's why I flatten it. And also, not to mention, I'll just keep it like this for now, just so you can see, even though it's grayscale, if I go to make it bitmap, it's already going to prompt me to flatten it anyway. So flatten visible layers and discard hidden layers, because you need to flatten it in order to make it a bitmap. So when I hit OK, it's going to flatten it already. And again, it'll give you this dialog box pops up, and I hit OK, and then you can see all this stuff flattens, and now it's a bitmap. But I'm going to go back a couple steps just because I like the contrast better how it was here. So I'm going to take that step, and then I'm going to flatten it from there, and discard the hidden layers. It's fine. And then you can see, it preserves that nice contrast I have. It's not as dark at the bottom part as it was earlier. And now I'm going to convert it to grayscale. Image mode grayscale, and then I will discard, but you can see nothing changes now, right? When I hit Command Z and I'm back in RGB, or Command Option Z to go back to grayscale, it's relatively the same. It didn't look like anything changed much. So now when I go up to image mode bitmap, it won't ask me to flatten anymore because it's already flat. So we'll just pop up this dialog box. And now to explain how this works, whatever resolution your image is at, so this image is at 72 pixels per inch. So that is automatically going to fill in here. So if this was a 300 ppi image or a 150, whatever it is to start off with, that is going to be your output resolution default. You can change it, like again it's 72 now because this image is 72, but as you can see it's also very big. It's like 40 by like 56 or something like that. So it's a large image even though it's 72. And then what we're going to do is diffusion dither. Now what diffusion dither does is it takes all the grayscale and it converts it to black and white by giving you like small dots that will equal the gray areas, and they're spaced out more to the areas that seem gray. Like here, this seems more gray than actual black, right? So it's, instead of making this a grayscale, it's going to be made up of 100% black, but they'll just be smaller dots and they'll be spaced farther apart. Okay. There is other kinds of bitmaps you can use. Halftone screen is like, the dots that everybody knows, but for now we're just going to stick to diffusion dither. And again, I didn't change any settings. It defaulted there, and you'll see what's going to happen. So I'm going to hit OK. And now when I zoom in, you can see, just as I mentioned, everything is 100% black pixel, and that everything is made up of that. So when I zoom in a lot, you can see that detail, but when I zoom out, it just appears like this textured, stuff with grayscale. Even this stuff that appears gray, when I zoom in, the closer I get, you can see it's all black pixels. Okay. So now that I have a bitmap image, I can save it, and there's different you can save it as a Photoshop file, or you can save it as a TIFF, or you can save it as a JPEG. I'm just going to save it as a JPEG, and again, because it's a flat file, it doesn't much matter. But some formats you change, and you won't be able to get the effect that I'm trying to achieve in Illustrator, and I'll show you that right now. So anyway, I'm going to hit Command Shift S to save as. I'll save it on my computer, and I'm going to name it something different this time. _A or whatever, and I'm just going to save it as I'm sorry, you can't save it as a JPEG when it's a bitmap, but these are the ones available that you could save it in. You could save it as a TIFF, you could save it as a Photoshop, you can even save it as a PNG. I'll do that. I'll save it as a PNG so you can see. Click save, and it will give me PNG options as is standard. Anytime you save a PNG, it will give you those options. Anytime you save a TIFF, it will give you the TIFF set of options, but I'm not changing anything. I'm just keeping it the default options. And now I have this bitmap image, and I am going to go to Illustrator, and I am going to place this, Command Shift P, and this is in my textures, and I'm just going to grab that PNG file, place it, and it's kind of big, so I'll hit Command Z and do that again. And I'll drag it to place it, a smaller version of it. And now, I'm going to change my colors up here. Let's say purple. And you can see, even though this is an image, and I'll go to my links just so you can see it's a linked PNG. It's a PNG file, but I can change the color of it because it is a bitmap. Okay, so again, if you're looking to add some texture via image and you want to change the color of it, this is a way you can do it. Create a bitmap and then change the color of it. And that is the gist of this.